The diner is a staple of 1950s America, and because of that, LEGO has taken multiple opportunities to build this. One of the more popular examples of this is the downtown diner here. And today, I'm Brick Radiop, and I'm going to be showing off a very cool set that was introduced as part of the Bricklink Designer Program. The Bricklink Designer Program was one of LEGO's most recent crowdsourcing attempts. It made it so collectors could buy a lot of different types of rejected LEGO idea sets. I ended up buying one or two from each different wave, and I'm thinking maybe for one of my upcoming videos I'll do an overall video going over every single set. But for today I have a special video being a review of the 1950s Diner by James Allen Cox, which is the only set from the third round of the Bricklink Designer Program that I got. I live in Minnesota. We have a very famous diner that's in this train car sort of building, being Mickey's Diner. So I know I had to pick this up. And on the back has some more shots showing the interior and a different angle of the gas pump and the pink car, as well as a reflective Bricklink Designer Program piece of tape on both sides to make it a little bit more exclusive. Just like a normal LEGO set, the bags are numbered, but they don't have instruction books inside. You have to go online, download the app, or get them off of the LEGO website, which is a bit unfortunate. I'm surprised it only ends up having one sticker sheet with a couple of different stickers for signage inside of the diner. After the first two bags, you end up finishing most of the side builds, being a pink muscle car and a pump for gas. And you also build two different figures. This set isn't going to have any exclusive prints, so the figures just end up being some generic civilian types. I think the gas pump is a really cool build, using one of those rubbery hose pieces so it can be flexible and you can connect it to whatever car you want to. It also has a clever use of the two printed parts. The car included in this set is one of the first similarities to the downtown diner in the modular line, which also included another pink car, but this one's in an 8 wide scale. So it has a lot more opportunity for detail and using some pretty interesting parts like swords at the bottom for a bumper. I can't tell if it's supposed to be the gas cap, but it also has a pop can at the back. It could also be the car ornament that would be the branding normally. The license plate is an American flag, which is very fitting for the era that this is going for. The roof is just those two car hood pieces with a 2x4 plate. For sure fit two figures in the front, but the steering wheel is a little off center, being one stud away from the wall. So one of the figures would have to be a little bit over to really fit with that. Getting to the back is a little bit harder because you have to take off the back windshield to seat figures there. I did slide two more figures in the back. There's no studs to hold them in though. They're just sitting on the tiles back there. And shoot, looks like you might not actually be able to put figures back there. I'll try taking this hair piece off. Maybe the figures have no hair they'll be able to fit. Yeah, it looks like it's almost fitting flat. So looks like might be the only way to get some figures back there is by having them devolve, which is a bit of a bummer. And comparing this to the downtown diner car, they do have some similar shaping and a similar color scheme, with one being a dark pink in the 1950s diner and the other one being a lighter pink, and with both having those white accents. And I'm sure that these are basically based off of the same concept, so it kind of makes sense that they look so similar. This one is obviously much bigger, being 8 wide, and this one being 6 wide. And I know there are certain collectors that prefer one or the other. I don't really think it makes much of a difference. And since it is 8 wide, it'll fit with other cars in your LEGO collection, like with your modern Speed Champions cars, the era accurate James Bond Aston Martin, 1960s Batmobile is also in the same scale, so you'll have a lot of different options to put this vehicle with. And in addition to the side builds, you also make the foundation for the diner. I think this is a much better idea to do something like this than a base plate. After bag 4 and a little bit into bag 5, you start decorating the interior of the diner. It includes a lot of wall decorations that are found in these types of diners. The construction does seem a bit flat to me. I wish there was more varying levels with snot bricks, just because all of these posters and on the wall there all are on the same level, and I feel like some varying depth would have made it a bit more interesting. Another couple of bays in, you add even more checkerboard floor tiling, and the entire kitchen area is complete. You end up having a little bit of a flat top. Originally it was 4 1x1 round tiles, but I switched out one to be a stud. That way you can put the frying pan on there. It's a little bit more secure. Has some stools, but none of them have studs on top of them, so figures will be able to sit on them, but if you move it, they'll probably fall off. Has a fun little sticker. In the corners, there's a bunch of other little details, like a guitar and a trophy. Of course, it has a jukebox, which is pretty clever. It's hard to see, but underneath the clear piece, there is a 2x2 round tile with a hole in the middle, so it would be a record. On the other side, they have a little booth with some salt and pepper probably. With the set complete, I will definitely say I'm very impressed with this. I think it provides a really great value and also a great design. I would say there are some things that can be improved a bit, like the exterior color. There are just some inconsistencies with the coloring, with these corner round pieces being red, and it seems like most of the other accents for the outside are dark red. Having the dark red and the lighter red kind of throws off the look a bit. And maybe the easiest way to fix the coloring would just be getting these tiles at the front and turning those red. Maybe having the sign as a darker red at the top wouldn't be a big deal, since the white would break it up and wouldn't be as noticeable. I will definitely say I really appreciate this building not just being a generic modular. Having the raised plates with those bricks at the bottom adds this really cool staircase leading into the entrance, which is a swivel door. It should be able to easily fit a minifigure through it. On the back, there are even some printed details with these printed 1x1 tiles, which is cool. I will say the roof has some of my favorite details with a very effective use of the stickers that were included in this set. And I know it already sort of got its own section, but this car is also pretty cool. It does have some bits and parts that get knocked out of the way. Definitely want to give a shout out to this gas pump as well, which is very creative with its use of already existing print. Overall though, I'm a little unsure about the inclusion of the car and the gas pump. Maybe the set would be even better if it was just the diner, and that would have lowered the price a bit. They did kind of lean into that drive-in diner sort of aesthetic with one of the figures having skates, which is another funny thing you can compare to the downtown diner. Along with that figure, it also has a similar color scheme on the inside using that dark teal color. Just like a modular building, the roof does easily come off, though it isn't held in by any studs. It just has the perfect shaping of plates that it should slide in. It'd be kind of hard to find that sweet spot at first, but it is effective and works good enough. Now that we've gone over the 1950s diner, let's talk a bit about the downtown diner. I do think that this is a very impressive modular building, but for me, I don't think it's my perfect idea of what a diner should be in LEGO. I do think it has some pretty fun color combinations with the teal, dark pink, and all the striping and white in the front. It has a very circular and smooth design, which is really cool. But for me, I really think of diners as being standalone buildings, and having it with a gym and music recording studio at the top is kind of weird. I do think this set would have been really cool as just a single level, and would have even stood out against other modular buildings at being that different height and different price point. And another great design, which I'm sure everyone has talked about, is this brick-built diner writing at the top. It's just perfect, works really well. And just because it isn't really related to the diner, I'm not going to go into the interiors of these levels, but I will look on the inside of here. Just as a final note for the exterior, this arch is really cool. Adds a lot to the build and maybe helps to tie together the whole building. It's too bad that they're so hard to get video of or photos of, just because they're not very easy to take apart once you build them. Obviously you can get into the floors after taking off the ones above them. You can see the interior has that same black and white tiling, but these ones use 2x2 tiles instead of 1x1s, which would make it a bit easier to put together and takes less steps. Looking at the back there, it does have more of a classic flat top grille, which would be present in an actual diner versus the little one that is in the 1950s diner. Other great details is that coffee machine there, probably a soda fountain, and a hood for the stove. And it's nice, there are some studs that figures can stand on to keep them in the place that they're supposed to be. And again, it just has some open space over in the corner here, but it does have a gumball machine, something different. And again, just like the 1950s diner, this one also has a jukebox, and I really enjoy the design that they did for the napkin dispenser. That's perfect. Something that the 1950s diner benefits from is printed food elements. And this one, they do have some grill tiles that are representing some bacon and a flat 2x2 tile that represents a pancake. But I do really like the waffle prints that were introduced with Stranger Things, which I believe came out after the set. With both of the diners side by side, you can tell that they have very different aesthetics. And almost surprisingly, the 1950s diner almost takes up a similar footprint, being the same width as a modular building like the downtown diner. And while they both might have some negatives or positives, I'm glad that they're so different from each other that I don't have to feel so weird about owning both of them. And final verdict, I would definitely say with the downtown diner, it would be so much better if it was just the bottom floor. And the 1950s diner is just such a unique take on a diner building. I would definitely say that I'm very glad I got this set. I really do think that this might be my favorite Lego diner now. I really enjoy the shaping of this. There's so many cool techniques and little details that add to this so much. And it's really cool to see the designer figure out ways to use already existing prints to enhance their build, like these checklists being the menus. And because of that, they were able to limit the use of stickers to some pretty minor details like these signs. I do think they enhance the build by having them, but if you left them off, you could probably figure out different ways to do this on your own. Having those extra builds adds even more to the value. And building this makes me interested in those other Bricklink Designer sets. I do think it's really great that LEGO gave some of these another opportunity to be made. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you like the 1950s diner or the downtown diner? If you want to see more LEGO videos, check out the other ones on my channel. I've been Brick Ready Up, and I'll see you in the next video.